Hey, it's Tuesday at 6 o'clock and you're tuned in to hashtag chat with Soph and Claire.
We'll be here with you now, taking you through till 8 p.m. on KCC Live.
99.8 FM.
KCC Live.
So today is International Women's Day 2018. Woo, woo. We're going to be celebrating females from women's achievements, coming together for gender equality, empowering each other. We've got interviews from family members. We've got polls. We've got it all going on today. I'm so excited for this show.
I'm excited for this one, Sue.
This is KCC Live.
So, as Sophie mentioned earlier, it is International Women's Day this week. So, on that note, for the next couple of minutes, we're going to be having a little chat about what it means to each of us to be a woman, to be strong, to be independent. So, Soph, what does it mean to you being a woman? What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I feel like my personal views and opinions change with time. Like my views from last year are completely different to this year, and I almost know that they're going to change again by this time next year. I think whatever part of your life you're in helps towards these views and opinions. You know, the kind of people that you're around, your job, they all play a part in what you think and your views and your opinions. For instance, I've always worked in pubs and places like that, places that are very male dominated.
Yeah.
So therefore, my personal views don't change too much, but I can sort of see both sides, whereas I'm not just kind of one-sided and this is my view, so this is the way that it is.
Yeah.
So, for instance, obviously working in a pub and things like that, men come for a drink after work while the wife's at home cooking tea and they've looked after the kids all day. And it's very much like that because it's very, very old school.
Older men.
Yeah, it's like a proper
pubs,
old school pub. So it's men that come in for a pint after work. The wife's at home cooking the tea. They come out for an hour or so while they're waiting for it, and then they get a phone call and they go. And I think it's like really nice to see.
It's quite cute, and they've probably been doing that since they were first married.
Exactly, yeah. But for me, I don't do the cooking. It's very rare, and it's not for like I don't want to do it or anything like that. It's just I finish work later than my partner, so it's just easier for him to do the cooking.
Of course, yeah.
But people would see that as in like he's the woman in our relationship
Because he's cooking you a meal.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of just kind of doing what works for you, people would assume that he was the sort of woman in the relationship. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I think everyone should just really just do what works for them. So whether you're a man or a woman, if it's easier for you to cook the tea or for you to do the cleaning or for you to do the washing, instead of going with what society deems as a woman's role or a male's role, you should just basically just do whatever you want. I also think that supporting and empowering other women is huge for gender equality.
It really is important.
And since we chose this topic last week as well, I've obviously done a lot of research. I've read and I've seen a lot about girl power and backing women, which I think is great. But for me, being a woman, I think it's really important that we also talk about our flaws and not just our positives. As I think being a woman, this is what makes us different to men, is we can sort of not just admit when we're wrong, but I think it does separate us and gives us our own feminine characteristics as a gender.
Do you think that's because in society it's been deemed more acceptable for women to be more openly emotional and talk about their flaws and talk about, because I think a lot of guys, they don't feel like they can chat about certain things, like they wouldn't
because they think they're gonna be they think they're gonna be like judged. Oh, you're a woman, or you're like a woman, or
exactly,
definitely. Like I think empowering women is great and things like that, but being able to accept when you're wrong is such a it's a stronger quality to me.
It comes with age, that I think. I feel like as I've got older, I've had more confidence to go, I was wrong there. That was my fault. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Noted. Won't do it again. I'll learn from that. Yeah, it was me.
I think that's a woman's thing as well, though, because I think men have got like a lot of pride, haven't they? Where
they'll try and blame someone else first, you think?
Maybe.
But again, comes down to the individual again. That doesn't
again, of course, because I can't speak for all men, and of course I can't speak for all women. This is just my own sort of personal opinion and views, and it's because of the situation that I'm in and the life I'm in and where I am at that time. Being in touch with your emotions and being able to control them to the point where you can sort of get your message across by your emotions. So sort of like, you know, if I was sad or whatever, instead of just flying off the handle or whatever, I can like sort of control them in a controlled way and get me points across. But again, using your emotions, and I think a lot of women use their emotions to get the point across, don't they? Like whether it be in an argument or anything like that, we use our emotions a lot because I think we are very in touch with our emotions more than men are.
But again, I think that comes down to, I think in general, women are slightly more emotional creatures than men. I think we have the whole fluctuating hormones thrown in the mix each month. You know what I mean? Like you can feel totally amazing one day, and then
of course
hormones can kick in.
But again, society plays a part in that because men feel like they can't be that without being judged
or without being like, oh, he's on one today. He's like a woman the way he's going on. But then that's a negativity. It's a negative outlook on women, then, isn't it? If a man's upset, oh, you're being like a woman. Like, are you joking?
It's really bad, but it happens. It does happen.
How we feel.
Yeah. And being honest to yourself and saying your opinion, even if the rest of the group don't agree with you, you're still confident enough to share that view, even though maybe, say, there's 10 people in the room, only one person agrees with you. I know I'm a very opinionated person, and it's got me in trouble.
Really?
It's got me in trouble in the past. But do you know what? I don't care. If that's my opinion and that's my view, then I'm going to share it. And I think historic history. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
Things in the past. History and like things in the past have sort of played on my mind a little bit there, because women were never allowed to voice their opinion. It was shun upon. So that does play a part. I think, no, do you know what? I've got a voice and I'm going to use it, like no matter what anyone else thinks, and no matter if someone agrees with me or it doesn't. No one's right or wrong in an opinion.
I think as long as well as, how you put your opinion across comes out in a strong, sensible way,
It's not sensible all the time.
Not sensible all the time. But, going back to that whole, being able to compose yourself, control it and say, look, I don't agree with that, and these are the reasons why, and being able to back up your opinion without flying off the handle, and being able to back up your why.
Everyone's definitely going to think I've got like anger issues because we keep using the term flying off the handle. Don't worry, people that don't fly off the handle, only sometimes. And I think the word feminine as well, like, gets tossed about in like a weird kind of way, like no one really knows what it is.
The word feminine.
Yeah. So when you say that word, people automatically think that means that she takes care of herself, she wears makeup, she's got nice hair, she paints her nails, and yeah, of course you can do all them things, but the word feminine means to me being true to yourself, believing in yourself, being graceful and respectful of others and others' opinions, and just being an absolute boss at what you do.
Boss.
I like being a girl boss.
I like being a girl boss.
Like, I go to work, I look after my daughter, I go to the gym, I lift weights. I'm completely in charge of my own finances. I've got my hobbies. I've got this radio show. I'm obviously a final in this pageant. And
loads going on, girl.
I know, but my life is my own choices, and no man will ever differ that unless I want them to. And I think that's where it's that's the boundary and that's the line for me. And if I want to stop any of them because I want to compromise, it's my choice. It's nobody else's. And that's, again, I think, where I'm in control of being a woman.
And owning your own.
Yeah, own it, work it, girl, work it.
But you've mentioned some very interesting points in there, actually, and there's little things that I want to elaborate on after a couple of these songs.
Okay, cool. So can I just say one more thing now?
Of course you can. You're a strong, independent woman, so you can say what you want.
Why are you allowed to say my opinion?
Excuse me, can I just say something?
I'm saying all this, but at the same time, I'd still like a man to buy me flowers, to hold the door for me and pull a chair out for me. Like,
of course, but
that's not wrong, is it?
It's not wrong. This is quickly going to say my little view on this.
Go ahead, quick.
Before we play this next tune. I am all for equality in relationships. And I would class myself as a feminist. We want equal rights. That doesn't mean you're wrong for wanting a man to do something romantic for you. Just because you want a man to buy you flowers and surprise you, doesn't mean you're not a strong, independent woman. But at the same time, if I was to have a partner in the future, however far in the future that may be. No, but in all seriousness, if I had a partner in the future that done those things for me, and then say I was off, I wasn't working and he was in work, of course I wouldn't think anything of it to have a nice meal on the go. And,
It's
run
compromise,
him,
isn't
even
it?
like run him a bath. So when he comes in from work, he can have a bath. I'll finish off the tea. You know, you've been working all day. As long as they do things like that for you,
Give
there's
and
nothing
take.
wrong with, you know, I hear girls saying like, I'm not going to bring no man his tea. I'm not going to, you know, run a man a bath. I'm not going to pick my boyfriend up from anywhere. He should do all those things for me. Okay, well, if you expect them,
Yeah.
be willing to do things for him in return, you know?
Yeah, and
That's my view on that anyway.
No, I completely agree.
But more on all that. See, I'm talking about men. I can't even get my words out.
Right, we've got more of these sort of topics coming up after these next few songs.
Yes.
The station with attitude. KCC Live.
So, yeah, each week when we say what topic we're going to be discussing on the following show, we like to put some questions out there on social media, don't we, Soph?
Yeah, get the vibes.
Get the vibe, see what people are feeling, because we actually really want to know what the listeners are thinking. And
It's interesting.
it's interesting to reach out and see what people's opinions are on whatever topic it is that we've decided to talk about each week. So obviously last week we put on our social media, on our Instagram, that the topic of this week was going to be to do with gender, to do with International Women's Day. So between the two of us, we put a couple of questions out there, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And on my personal Instagram, I just wrote about, I said, oh, we're just doing a bit of research. So feel free to comment if you wish. And then the question was, what does gender mean to you? What is it about yourself that makes you feel feminine or feel masculine, or perhaps even both? Do you believe in gender fluidity? And that, as some gender fluid people are now saying, gender is over. Do you agree with this? And I also did say, you know, by the way, all of the people expressing themselves, but you have to be mindful.
Yeah.
And you have to, you know, not be offensive and keep this a safe place to
The
talk.
questions were very brief as well, wasn't they? Like, they wasn't too in-depth. It was just like quite plain and simple answers of yes or no, you know, give us your quick view, things like that. And a lot of them came back like really the same, didn't they? Like everyone's views seemed to be along the same lines.
They were all along the lines of, you know, I don't really agree with having these specific things that are supposed to define who you are as a man, what makes you a man or what makes you a woman. I'm a person.
Yeah, they were all very open-minded views, which was amazing to see.
Nice to see.
Yeah, it was
actually.
positive. Yeah, because there was
was.
no negativity whatsoever. Everyone was just kind of in touch with themselves, wasn't they? And
Know
were
who they
happy
were.
with what they believed in, and
Yeah.
it was nice to see. Actually,
I mean, my friend Michael, he commented and said, this is interesting. I personally like this recent development of being gender neutral. I believe male and female are scientific terms to tell apart human variants. But personally, I rarely feel masculine or feminine.
yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. He said, I hate, and then he's put in capitals, hate phrases like Jack the lad and man up. I hate the pressures that gender specifics put on people. I'm just comfortable being a person.
And you're so for a lad to say that though is so brave as well.
Yeah,
Because again, society just judges people.
exactly.
And it's just so nice that there is people like that will speak out and will give their views, and again is not scared of giving their opinion on their view in case of what other people think.
It's nice to know that, you know, you can have a platform to express these
It's very refreshing.
feelings. It's very refreshing. And I think, you know, the likes of Instagram and Facebook and stuff, they can potentially be like a dark place sometimes. People are quick to jump on, you know, someone and be negative. And I just think it's nice to create a safe space for people to express their views and their opinions. But a lot of the opinions were along the same line, weren't
Similar,
they?
yeah, they was.
They were along the same line. Of,
We done some polls as well, didn't we? So we're gonna be getting them results out to you a little bit later on in the show as well. So that'll be interesting for you to see.
It will. We put some questions out there, and we'll let you know the answers that people gave to us, the percentage. It's quite interesting, actually.
Mm-hmm.
More
So
of that coming
stay
up.
tuned.
99.8 FM. KCC Live.
Thank you for joining me and Sophie on this Tuesday evening. We've got a very special guest in the studio with us today, haven't we, Soph?
I don't think we could have got a better guest, to be fair.
Maybe I'm being biased, but I agree.
No, you're not being biased. I can't wait.
We'll tell you who it is shortly.
The station with attitude. KCC Live.
Okay, so we've touched on a lot of topics in the show already. We've given you our social media views, we've given you our own personal views, we've given you polls. So what I want to ask to Claire is, what are your views on gender fluidity? And if you want, give us a little brief to what you think that is as well, for people that, you know, aren't quite sure.
Okay, so gender fluidity, you may have heard this cropping up in various social media posts online. Gender fluidity, someone who classes themselves as gender fluid is someone that doesn't feel like they have a specific gender constantly.
So they don't think that they're male or female?
Not necessarily, no. It could be someone who wakes up and they think, today I feel like a man today.
Okay.
So I'm a man today. Yeah. And the next day they might wake up and think, I feel more of a woman today. Or it's someone who just doesn't really ever define as either. They're just, I'm a person. I'm neither a man or a woman. I don't like to be called he or she. I'm just...
So they don't want their identity to be specifically just on a male or female. They want to just go with the flow, see what they feel that day, and
whatever their energy, wherever their energy
with.
takes them.
Okay, cool.
It's really an interesting topic, actually, and it's one that I have really been interested in.
You're very keen on it. I know it keeps on cropping up and stuff in our conversations and that. So
does.
I know it's
a topic that I think I want to know more about, and I want to try to understand. And I think what sparked this for me, and I really wanted to talk about this, was I was watching, there's a model called Rain Dove, and for the sake of this conversation, I will refer to her as she.
Okay.
I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to say the wrong thing. This is another point of it, you see, is not people don't know what to say, because apparently there's some people who get very offended if they appear to be a woman that day and someone says, oh, she, it's kind of like, I'm not she, I'm gender neutral. Don't refer to me as either. It's quite hard for people sometimes to know how to approach this topic or speak to someone.
Stepping on eggshells a little bit because they don't understand it themselves.
For the sake of this, I will refer to Rain as she.
Okay.
She was born into a female body. Still has her female body, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think she's had any procedures done or anything like that. She appeared on Loose Women, and she's actually a model who models as both a man and as a woman. And I've got to say, if you go on her Instagram and have a little look at the pictures, it's astounding.
At the difference.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be honest, looks fantastic as both when she's dressing up.
Yeah.
For the sake of the topic, feminine, and when she's masculine. It's very interesting to see the difference. And she came on and she spoke about being gender fluid, and it's just about being in touch with who you feel you are. And she said about, she goes on a night out, and when she goes into the club, she's dressed as a woman. She gets in for free. She's American, by the way, and a lot of places they charge men to go in and not women.
That's true, yeah.
Which is another topic we could go on. So she goes in the club as a woman. She gets in for free. Sometimes people might buy her a drink because she's a woman. And then she said when she's ready to leave and go home, she goes into the bathroom, puts on a different jacket, does, a little bit of whatever with her hair, and she leaves get into a cab as a man, dressed as a man.
Okay.
Expressing herself as a man, because she said that she then feels safer to do that.
So she doesn't feel safe as a woman?
She feels safer getting into a cab as a man.
Okay.
It's, there's a lot going on. It's very complex, isn't it?
But there's a lot that you could see. There's a lot that you,
about.
this is the first time that I've heard this story, obviously, but for me, again, it doesn't fit into the whole thing is equality. So I don't know how you would feel safer being a man getting into the taxi when you're fighting for equal rights for women.
I can understand where she was coming from with that, because it's been known for a lot of girls to be sexually harassed when they're under the influence of alcohol, getting into the likes of unmarked cabs, especially alone. They are more vulnerable than a man.
Of course they are, but at the same time, this is someone using obviously a massive platform to sort of promote equality and to sort of promote be whoever you want, however you feel, whenever you want.
But this person is getting the best of both worlds from being both. And obviously,
I just think that put, for me personally, on my view on that anyway, I think that just kind of puts out a bad thing that, you know, if you are a woman and you're getting into the taxi in a cab on your way home from town, like, you've got to feel scared. Or if you were a man, you would be safer. And I wouldn't want someone.
But also,
thinking that.
is she not highlighting the fact that why is it safer for a man?
Of course, it's a problem. Of course, it's a problem. But that's just
there's a lot you could look into with that whole situation.
Like, it's neither nor or there, is it?
I find it very, very interesting. The whole gender fluidity thing, and I don't want to be offensive when I express my views on it. I think I just try to sometimes get my head around it. What it comes down to, I think, though, is, like we've said this a million times already on the show, it's the individual. And if you want to express yourself as gender fluid and say, I'm neither a man or a woman, I sort of go between both worlds, whatever works for me, whatever I wake up in that day, that's who I am.
And you should go with it.
Do you?
Yeah.
One thing that really bugged me watching this interview with Rain, she came on and she had a t-shirt on saying gender is over. And I thought, you don't get to say that. You don't get to decide that gender is over.
Yeah.
I'm sat here watching your interview, backing you completely in whatever you want to live your life like. As long as
don't push it on me.
On other people. My view in general about anything and anyone is, as long as you have good intentions and you're not hurting or harming anyone else, be who you want to be.
Yeah, of course.
But why are you coming out saying gender is over? Because I don't want it to be over. I like saying I'm a woman. You know, what should be over is the negative stereotyping that comes with the genders.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
That's what should be over, not gender. See, and then this made me, I then spoke to my friends about how they felt about this. And I've got a really fantastic, varied group of friends, and none of them are actually alike. They're all quite different and unique.
They've got quite different personalities, haven't they?
And I spoke to them about this topic of gender and gender fluidity. And we talked about, you know, but what exactly does make you masculine or feminine? Is it the way you dress, the way you talk? And most of us actually agreed that it all boils down to the fact that society for a long time has told us what's masculine and what's feminine.
100%.
So masculine apparently means to be strong and tough and not show emotion and to be the breadwinner, whereas to be feminine is always meant for someone to carry themselves a certain way, walk and talk a certain way, wear makeup, be gentle, be expressive and sexy.
We touched on it before, didn't we? We touched on it before.
We did. See, but I don't believe it's as black and white as this. See,
not in this day and age, no.
Not in this
very,
day and
very
age.
Different.
I think it comes down to the individual and their energy and their personality. See, I'm a woman and I'm happy to call myself a woman, but I go to the gym in no makeup and lift weights, and I swear all the time I'm terrible. Like, it's hard for me to record.
You're not, are you?
I find it hard to record this show, and like I think sometimes, did I swear today?
We
when
both
I go
do,
home?
don't we?
But you know, I swear all the time I'm terrible. But then I also love a candlelit bubble bath, and I can't wait to be a mum one day, and I go and get a curly blow, and I love to have a little cocktail and a gossip with the girls, and that would be deemed as feminine. But the other things I do might be deemed masculine. So really, I'm a mixed bag of what people may see as masculine and feminine.
I think everyone is.
But at the same time, I wouldn't then call myself gender fluid. I'm a woman that might do certain things
Masculine
some days
things
that people find masculine.
Yeah.
But that's just what makes me me.
Again, yeah, it's just what society's put on you, isn't it?
And what it comes down to as well is needing to label everything. And I think we're obsessed with having to label
Yeah.
everyone and put everyone in a little box and say, well, that means you're, oh, well, Claire, that means you're gender fluid then, because some days you might feel a bit more like you're wearing a trackie today and you don't want to wear makeup and you want to go and lift weights at the gym and you're swearing and, you know.
Yeah, I get it though.
You're watching a gangster film. Does that mean I should then say, I'm a man today?
No, I don't think it's...
So
no, I don't
the
think
whole
it does.
gender fluid thing, maybe I need to educate myself a little bit more on it. Sometimes I think, would that make me gender fluid then? That I sometimes...
I think
do
again, it's
masculine
what you're just
things.
saying about being labelled, though, isn't it? Like if you were to turn around and say that you did like to do them things, I would just turn around and think, well, you know what? That's just Claire. I wouldn't think,
As a
is that a
person.
woman or is that a male?
Exactly.
That wouldn't even come into my head.
It wouldn't, yeah.
I'd just think, well, do you know what? That's just what she does. I know on a Sunday she wants to be in a trackie and, like you said, with no makeup, going to the gym lifting weights. I wouldn't think to myself, you know what? Claire's a man on Sunday. I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I wouldn't think that, though. It really wouldn't pop into my head
Exactly.
on whether you chose to be a male or a female on that day. That just makes you who you are. If that's something that you want to do on a Sunday, you tend to be more masculine than feminine. Not in my own views, on society's labels.
On society, what society has deemed masculine or
I
feminine.
wouldn't think that. It wouldn't enter my head at all.
And I think that's why the whole gender fluid topic really, really interests me. And I don't think it's neither right or wrong, but it interests me because I think, oh, where do we draw the line? What, you know?
You can't, can you? And I
No.
don't think anyone's ever gonna.
It all
I
comes
don't
down
think
to the
it's ever
person.
gonna.
If you want to call yourself a woman who does manly things, or a man that sometimes does what we see as feminine things, or, you know, oh, I'm gender fluid. You know what? At the end of the day, call yourself what you want. But if you're going to wear a t-shirt saying gender is over, you're becoming past the problem, I think, of
by pushing it upon people and not letting other people have an opinion or a view.
You want to be who you are, and I'll support that. But let everyone be who they want to be.
Sure thing. Well, we've got some more views coming up as well from, as I
We're
said,
full of views, aren't we?
I'm loving the views on this, though. It's so good to know what other people think.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
The station with attitude. KCC Live.
So, yes, as we said earlier on, we have a special guest in the studio today. And that special guest is in the form of my very own dad. Hiya, Dad.
Hi, girls.
This is Mike, and he's come down today to join in with the conversation. So, yeah, we've been talking about International Women's Day and feminism and gender equality. So, I've got a couple of questions for you, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good?
Okay.
Are you nervous?
Not really, but
No, plays
we'll
it cool.
see.
Plays
We'll
it
see.
cool. Okie dokie. So, yeah, I thought it was important to bring along someone who I find very influential in my life, which is my dad. And I thought it was good to have a male view thrown in the mix with all of this. Would you agree?
we'll go with a male mix, yeah.
A male mix. Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a few questions for you.
Okay.
So, Dad, question number 1. Can I have some money?
That's just normal. That is just normal.
Independent woman.
I could retire now.
Okay, no, seriously. The first question is, do you consider yourself a feminist, and why?
Yeah, I do consider myself a feminist. And people, I think, get it mixed up with it just being a woman thing. It's not. I've been a unionist all my life, and feminism is social, political, and economic. It's about equality. It's not about gender.
That's right. You're right. And you've worked to like the unions and stuff, which is about everyone having equal rights in the workplace and so on.
Yeah, not just about gender either. You know,
Yeah.
it's when we're talking about equal rights, it's for everybody with disabilities, and right the way through.
Very good, very good. So you are a feminist, Dad?
Yeah, okay.
Good, good stuff, good stuff. So on that note, what women have inspired you in your life and why?
Obviously, my own mother and grandmother, and my sisters.
Oh, lovely.
And obviously, I've got to say, yourself and your sister.
Me?
So,
Oh,
yeah,
thanks, Dad.
So that gets me some money back for once. And
You ain't getting none of it back, honey. That's all.
no. And your mum, obviously, it's people I've actually come into contact with.
Yeah. So when you mentioned me nan,
Mm-hmm.
why was she an influence in your life? Your mum?
Well, my mum taught me, morals and right from wrongs.
She was a good, strong lady, wasn't she?
She was, yeah. And so was my dad. You know, my dad was, if you wanted a stereotype, and my dad was a man's man. You know, he was in the army, and then he was a docker. And he used to play snooker with his friends and go for a couple of pints, but he also did dishes and made the tea and done the iron. And, you know, so it was not alien for me to do that.
Yeah, you do the ironing, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, my mum's like, iron this. I don't do the ironing.
Well,
Mike does the ironing in our house.
I think your mum's had me off over the years, you know, 'cause she used to iron your pleats the wrong way when you were going to school as a little girl, and I think I've just been suckered into it.
Yeah. It's like when you make a bad cup of tea by accident, so no one asks you to make the cups of tea in the house.
Yeah, I just drop a
Sue
dish
would
every
just
time
like,
you clean them.
Yeah. Sue would put the creases in the wrong part of the shirt and the skirt, so you'd have to do the ironing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a feminist, I'd say I'm a fool.
Well, they're definitely two different things. Okay, lovely. And last question, Dad. What have you learned from living with and raising two daughters who are now in their late 20s? Well, no, I'm in my late 20s. Our Sarah's, she's in her early 20s, but
Yeah.
two daughters in their 20s.
Yeah, Sarah's really a lot younger than you, isn't she? She's, you know.
Yeah, she is.
She's quite successful and everything, isn't she? Really, she's the one we concentrate on more.
I'm the free spirit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, free spirit's like a terminology for like I don't pay nothing at home.
Listen, I bring entertainment to our household.
Yeah, so the clowns.
I think we're verging off the topic here.
Sorry, yeah. So what was
just
the
a little mental note? Never bring your dad to work.
What was the question again?
The question was, what have you learned from living with and raising two daughters?
Basically, you know, you just made me proud because also the way you've been brought up and the way you think, you know, you're both free spirited, you know, you're both free thinkers as well, and you know, so is your mum. You know, there's no obstacles in your way today. You know, through, you know, equality and stuff like that. You know, we've come a long way. You know, at our age group. You know, but you don't put obstacles in your way. You know, you'll go for the job. You'll do whatever you want to do.
Well, I think that has also been achievable because of the family that we have. We are quite lucky to come from a very supportive, loving family who tell you to go for things and will support you. You and my mum have both, you know, been so supportive in anything that me and my sister have wanted to do. So yeah, lovely. Oh, well, thanks, Dad.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks for coming and sort of taking the mickey out of me a little bit. That's my job. I take the mickey out of Sophie, but I'm going to take some of your medicine today, I think.
I'm looking at Sophie, and Sophie does a good job on her own.
Oh, see, not nice. No, thanks for coming along, Dad.
You're welcome.
Are you going to give me a lift home or?
See, I was actually going to finish on with, you know, that you are independence and, you know, you never ask for nothing.
Claire's getting the train.
Yeah, and I would just be lying. I'd say I'll just leave you taxi money. How's that?
Sounds lovely.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Dad. Thanks for coming along.
You're welcome.
This is 99.8 FM KCC Live.
Hey, so this is my tie with Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Phil.
Okay, so just a quick one. I was listening to the conversation and it was so beautiful. I had a little tear in my eye when I was listening to you.
You were giggling all the way through.
I know, because it was so funny. You are so cute together.
Ah, thanks.
So I know you've got to shoot because you're taking your wife out for dinner. But one question.
Yeah.
Is there any chance I can be a part of your family?
Why not? Why not? You know, I mean, I may as well have 4 women in my house, you know, fleecing me, you know.
Okay, Claire, you heard it here first. I'm your new sister.
I'll have to get a second job.
Okay, so yeah, thanks for joining us, mate.
Okay, thanks, Soph.
The
Thanks, Claire.
station with attitude. KCC Live.
Okay, so we've just had Claire's dad in, which was absolutely amazing to give his views. And it's very important talking about agenda today that we do get males' views as well. It is International Women's Day and we are doing everything woman, but at the same time, talking about feminism and things like that, it's about men too. It's not just about women.
That's
it's
the whole
about
point.
being equal.
That's the whole point of being a feminist. It's about both. And, you know, I've got some great men in my life, fantastic men in my life, and you know they deserve just as much praise as some of the women in my life.
A voice,
definitely.
So I, to me as well, I think a lot of this is to do with generations. So I decided to ask my mum and my nan a couple of questions. I'm not going to tell you the questions and things like that because I think we've done a lot of that today, but it was just a general feeling, a general vibe of, you know, what they sort of thought and how generation and time affects people's views and opinions. And again, society changes in generations and people's views changes and things like that. So I asked them the same question. I asked them kind of what it was like to be a woman. What did they think of this? What did they think of that? And it was very strange that it came back very, very different views. I mean, they weren't too way out, you know, they were all for girl power, things like that. But it was really nice to hear my nan's side and my mum's side. So my nan's side was kind of, you know, to her being a woman is about like staying at home, you know, looking after her kids, making sure that she's building a house into her home, cooking nice homemade dinners, you know, just all stuff like that. Really homely, really like old school as well. And then to hear my mum's side, my mum had a little bit of that in her as well, like obviously building a home and things like that and looking after her children and things, but it was very different with a professional side. Like she wanted to go out and go to work and things like that. Not that my nan didn't, but you know, in the olden days, the women never used to go to work anyway. Their main priority was looking after their family and their husband and their house. So my mum's was a little bit more filtered than what my nan's was. So hers was to obviously still look after the kids, look after her husband, and it was to also go out to work and make a career for herself as well. But it wasn't fully that. It was sort of half and half, where the home still came first kind of thing and a career came second. And then obviously I'm the third generation, where of course I obviously look after my home and things like that.
You have got a lovely home and you're quite OCD, aren't you? And you like your candles and your plugins and all that.
But my career mind is just insane. Like I just focus on it. Like
same.
It might be, it's not a bad thing, of course it's not a bad thing, but I do put it first quite a lot of the time. Like when I'm at home, I don't switch off. Like I'm constantly talking about work. I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to come up with the best events, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to make sure that it works. If it doesn't work, I'm going to fail. And I feel like if I fail professionally, then I'm going to fail at home as well, which is not the case. But it was just really, really nice to see how filtered the views and opinions have been over 3 generations of how I wonder if it's going to go in circles though, because they say everything goes in circles.
Maybe it's interesting to see, and there's a lot of factors in it as well, isn't it? I mean, obviously going back to like both of, how old your nan that you'd interviewed?
Like over 60.
Yeah, like my nan, she's 72, 73, and she worked, but she was the same. You know, my granddad was the primary breadwinner, and she would keep the house and the kids going.
Yeah,
but there's nothing wrong with that. Like people look back and go, oh, these stay-at-home wives, I never would have wanted to do that. And okay, maybe you don't, but some of my loveliest memories are going back to my nan. She used to pick me up from school every day. You'd come in, the fire was on, the house was spotless, she'd have food brimming out the cupboard.
I love going to me nan. That's what they're like though. That's what nans are like. Like I go there and she literally feeds me.
My nan, I've been a vegetarian for over 10 years, and my nan will still offer me a ham butty, and I'm like, Nan, and she goes, it's wafer thin, it's only thin, that ham.
It's crazy,
it's
isn't
not,
it?
Nan, it's fine.
But they are like that, aren't they? Like they did like really just look after like the husbands and the kids, and that was their main priority. And that's not wrong or right, of course it's not. But again, it's just mad how it's changed.
It's finding that balance, isn't it? Because, you know, where our nans might have stayed at home, both my nans worked, they did work, as well as looking after a home. But, you know, but then it's like my mum, she went back to work, and she always said she would have loved to have 4 kids, but she stopped at 2 because she had to go back to work. She went back to work.
See, my nan, she worked, like me granddad was in the army, so she had 4 kids and they were all like probably like a year apart.
Yeah.
So she didn't have anyone to look after them
You
or
wonder
anything
how they
like
done
that.
it,
So
like,
I know it's
amazing
crazy,
women, amazing.
So obviously, like when he came back from the army and things like that, she did go back into work and stuff. But
because she could at that point. Like,
yeah,
what would she have done if he wasn't?
But when you ask her what her sort of thing of a woman is, what makes a woman and what she thinks a woman's role is and stuff like that, that's what she thinks.
And you know, she's not right or wrong. That was what made her a woman at the time. You know, that's what she